Welcome to Voyage Daily Tech, the most important news personalized for you every day, supported by Voyage.com.
After listening to today's news, you'll know. First, NASA's Artemis II is a high-stakes deep space mission, but the entire moon landing plan relies on a massive gamble with rival SpaceX. We'll analyse why this public-private dependency is a turning point and how it could affect the future of government space exploration and commercial partnerships. Second, in a massive breakthrough, AI passes the elite CFA exam in minutes, a test that takes humans thousands of hours to master. Today, we'll take a closer look at this reasoning breakthrough and its implications for high-stakes professional roles and the future of financial services. Third, Super Mario Bros. Legendary Minus World was an accidental coding bug that transformed gaming culture and the modern developer's view on glitches. We'll explore how this single bug created a dilemma for modern QA, transforming industry practices around intentional versus accidental game features. Fourth, Bollywood stars are fighting for their identity as AI deepfakes exploit a massive legal loophole in India that erases personality rights at death. So we'll discuss why this legal void matters and what it means for global tech regulation as platforms grapple with AI-generated content. Fifth, Micron sales triple for AI memory while its data center business falls 22%, showing how AI spending is cannibalizing traditional IT budgets. We'll analyze why this capital shift is a turning point and how it could affect competitive dynamics in the high-stakes HBM chip market. For the first time in 50 years, humanity is going back to the moon. But this isn't just a victory lap for NASA. It's the starting gun for a new global race for the moon. While the US is pushing forward with its Artemis program, which emphasizes international cooperation through the Artemis Accords, China and Russia are building their own coalition. They're planning a rival lunar base called the International Lunar Research Station, or ILRS, aiming to have it running by 2035. This isn't just science, it's geopolitics playing out hundreds of thousands of miles from Earth. NASA is aiming for a February launch for Artemis II, a 10-day mission that will send 4 astronauts on a historic trip around the lunar surface. But this mission is designed to push the limits far beyond what we've seen before. The crew will fly further into space than any human in history, traveling at least 5,000 nautical miles past the moon. Flying that far out is significant because it means the crew will leave the protection of Earth's magnetic field, exposing them to a level of deep space radiation that no Apollo astronaut ever faced. We're talking about a constant barrage of high-energy particles called galactic cosmic rays that can literally shred DNA and increase the risk of cancer and degenerative diseases. And the mission's scientific goals are just as ambitious. The crew will, in some ways, be human guinea pigs. Scientists will be growing tissue samples from the astronauts' blood to study the intense effects of deep space microgravity and radiation. As NASA's head of science, Dr. Nikki Fox, put it, "I'm certainly not going to dissect an astronaut, but I can dissect these little organoid samples and really look at the difference." This marks a revolutionary step in space medicine. These organoids are like miniature, simplified human organs grown from stem cells. By sending them into deep space, scientists can see exactly how human tissue responds to the brutal environment without putting the astronauts themselves under a microscope. It's our best shot at figuring out how to protect humans on future long-haul missions to Mars and beyond. The mission itself features a high-stakes space ballet where the crew will manually pilot their Orion capsule to practice docking procedures, all before a dangerous, fiery re-entry back to Earth. This so-called space ballet is officially called the Proximity Operations Demonstration, and it's a critical test. The astronauts will use a set of hand controllers, one for rotating the capsule and another for moving it forward, backward, and side to side to manually fly Orion. The goal is to prove that a human pilot can precisely maneuver the spacecraft for docking, even if the automated systems fail. It's a vital skill because the entire plan for landing on the moon later on hinges on Orion successfully docking with another spacecraft in lunar orbit. This manual capability is their ultimate safety net. But that's not the whole picture. This entire multi-billion-dollar mission is just a dress rehearsal for the real prize. Artemis III, the mission to actually land on the moon, and that's where the plan hits a major snag. Experts are already calling NASA's timeline for a landing unrealistic. The reason? The entire plan to touch down on the moon hinges on a critical piece of technology, not from NASA, but from Elon Musk's SpaceX. The landing requires the Starship rocket to take astronauts to the surface. And that rocket still has a long way to go before it can even achieve a stable orbit around the Earth, let alone put astronauts on the moon. And this reveals the central paradox of the whole Artemis program. NASA is using its own Space Launch System, or SLS rocket, which costs a staggering $2 billion per launch and is completely expendable, meaning it gets thrown away after one use. But for the most critical part, the lunar landing, it's relying on its commercial rival SpaceX, whose Starship is designed to be fully reusable with a potential cost of just a few $1,000,000 per launch. This public-private dependency is a massive gamble, tying the fate of a flagship government program to the progress of a private company. From a massive gamble in space hardware, we now shift to a breakthrough in software that's just as monumental. Let's start with a single statistic that might just change your entire perspective on this. What takes a human 1,000 hours of dedicated study to achieve a new AI just did in a matter of minutes? To give you a sense of what that means, 1,000 hours is like working a full-time 40-hour-a-week job for 6 straight months, just studying. That's the level of human dedication we're talking about. We're talking about passing the notoriously difficult level 3 of the Chartered Financial Analyst exam. For years, this final hurdle with its complex essay questions on portfolio management and wealth planning has been a barrier that even advanced AI couldn't break. You see, those essay questions aren't just about spitting back facts. They require evaluative judgment, forcing a candidate to weigh different strategies and justify their choices for a hypothetical client. It's about synthesizing knowledge, not just recalling it, but the game has just changed. New research has revealed that just 2 years after AI was shown to struggle with this exam, the technology has evolved so rapidly that it's now passing with ease. This isn't a small step, it's a massive leap. And believe it or not, it's not an isolated incident. We've seen AI pass the uniform bar exam for lawyers and the US medical licensing exam for doctors, but the CFA exam is different. It tests a unique kind of sophisticated judgment about markets and investments. What's significant is that success here shows AI is evolving from a simple knowledge retrieval machine into something that can demonstrate complex professional level reasoning. Top tier AI models, including O4 Mini, Gemini 2.5 Pro, and Claude Opus, are now successfully clearing mock exams that were once considered exclusively the domain of human experts. Researchers wanted to know if AI could handle the specialized, high-stakes analytical reasoning required for professional financial decision-making. The answer appears to be a definitive yes. The breakthrough was achieved using a technique called chain of thought prompting, allowing the AI to demonstrate a new level of complex financial logic. So what is that? Essentially, instead of just asking the AI for the final answer, you guide it, telling it to think step by step. It's like asking a math student to show their work. This forces the AI to break down a complex problem, like building a retirement portfolio, into smaller, logical pieces. It's not just pattern matching, it's building a case step by step, just like a human analyst would. And the implications are huge. Now, it's worth noting that the research was co-developed by Goodfin, an AI wealth management platform, which is something to keep in mind. But the trend is undeniable. Anaju Fee, the CEO of Goodfin, whose platform contributed to the research, went on the record with a statement that should get everyone's attention. I think there's absolutely a future where this technology transforms the industry. This situation presents a fascinating duality. On one side, AI's reasoning power is soaring, while on the other, it exposes just how crucial the human element really is. AI can crunch the numbers, but can it understand a client's fear during a market crash? Can it navigate complex family dynamics in estate planning? Research shows that while robo-advisors are popular, 44% of investors still use a human advisor precisely for that personal guidance and emotional intelligence. But this also raises a terrifying question. If an AI certified as this smart gives you bad advice and you lose your life savings, who is liable? Who do you sue? The SEC has already fined firms millions for misleading clients about their robo-advisors, showing that regulators are watching closely. This is a legal and ethical minefield that we are just beginning to navigate. The benchmark for high-level financial expertise, a qualification that takes humans years of their lives to earn, has now been met and dramatically surpassed in speed by a machine. This signals a fundamental shift in the world of high finance. Speaking of machines demonstrating unexpected behaviors, our next story is about a simple coding mistake that became an icon of gaming culture. Nintendo's most legendary secret level was a complete accident, a coding mistake in the original 1985 Super Mario Bros. That was never meant to be found. In World 1 to 2, players discovered that by jumping at a wall at the perfect angle, Mario could glide straight through solid brick. From there, a nearby warp pipe led not to the next level, but to a place that wasn't supposed to exist. From a technical perspective, the game's code, written in something called 6502 assembly, had a tiny error in how it handled level data. When you glitched through the wall, the game tried to load the data for the next warp pipe, but it got confused and grabbed the wrong information. It was essentially a memory handling error where the game looked in the wrong drawer for the next level's blueprint and ended up building this strange repeating water world from junk data. On screen, the text read, "World -1, dub the minus world." It was an inescapable, infinitely looping underwater level. The only way out was to die or reset the console. Rumors spread like wildfire through word of mouth long before the internet. Was it a deliberate secret from Nintendo? The company's own game counselors were inundated with calls about the phenomenon. For years, the mystery grew. That slow burn of discovery, spreading from kid to kid over months and years, is something we've almost completely lost. Today, with the internet, data mining, and platforms like YouTube and Twitch, a secret like the Minus World would be discovered, documented, and broadcast to millions within hours of a game's release. The entire period of myth-making would be compressed into a single afternoon. This makes the legend of the Minus World a time capsule of a different era of gaming. Finally, Nintendo's legendary creator Shigeru Miyamoto went on the record, the Minus World was a genuine error. It was not an intentional feature. But the story doesn't end there. The glitch was so beloved and so stable it didn't crash the game that Miyamoto later conceded it could be considered a feature, even if it was an accidental one. This single beloved accident created a fascinating dilemma for modern developers. Today's AAA studios invest millions into quality assurance, or QA, precisely to prevent these kinds of bugs. They can't afford a repeat of something like Cyberpunk 2077, where launch bugs cost the company dearly. So where do you draw the line? In competitive esports, exploits are patched immediately to ensure fairness. But in single-player games, some developers now intentionally leave harmless, fun glitches in. A famous example is the backwards long jump in Super Mario 64, a glitch so beloved by speedrunners that Nintendo has even left it in some re-releases. This one mistake changed everything. It inspired a generation of players to hunt for secrets and believe that games held more than what developers intended. As Edge magazine famously wrote, it was the Minus World that first made us believe that anything was possible in video games. The enduring legacy of this one bug is that it wasn't just about hiding a secret. The Minus World gave players a feeling that the game was deeper and more mysterious than it appeared. This inspired an entire subgenre of what are called metagames. These are games like Frog Fractions or the more recent hit Inscription that are architected from the ground up to subvert your expectations. They break the fourth wall and mess with the game's own rules, all to recapture that same mind-bending feeling of discovering something that wasn't supposed to be there. It taught players to scour every virtual corner, leading to the discovery of other famous glitches, from backwards flying dragons in Skyrim to the super bounce in Halo 2. The hunt for the next Minus World continues to this day, all thanks to one perfect mistake. That story was about developers embracing unintended glitches. Now we turn to a story where the unintended consequences of AI are creating a legal crisis in one of the world's biggest film industries. In India, a celebrity's right to their own face, name and story can die the moment they do. After actor Sushant Singh Rajput's death, a court refused to stop a film about his life, ruling that his right to privacy and publicity were not heritable. His legacy was legally up for grabs. To put that in context, in the United States, especially in places like California, a celebrity's rights are heritable. Think about the estate of Elvis Presley, which still earns millions every year by controlling his image and likeness. But in India, the court's ruling in the Sushant Singh Rajput case essentially said those rights vanish at death. His father tried to stop a film about his son's life, but the court dismissed the plea, creating a legal free-for-all for anyone wanting to exploit his story. This single shocking precedent is now at the heart of a massive legal battle as Bollywood's biggest living stars fight for control of their own identities. A-listers like Aishwarya Rai Bachchan, Anil Kapoor, and Jackie Shroff are rushing to the courts, and the reason is the terrifying rise of AI deepfakes. The backdrop for this chaos is a jaw-dropping fact. India, home to one of the world's largest film industries, has no dedicated law protecting personality rights. This stands in stark contrast to places like California, where publicity rights are protected by statute. Without a specific law, every case is a chaotic, one-off fight. India's legal system is based on common law, which evolves case by case through judicial decisions. While that can be flexible, it also creates a ton of uncertainty. It means there's no clear rule book. Every time a star goes to court, they're essentially asking a judge to create a new rule just for them. This is completely different from a statutory system, which lays out clear, predictable laws for everyone to follow, even if those laws can sometimes be slow to adapt to new tech, and the fight is over everything. Actor Anil Kapoor had to sue to protect his catchphrase, Jackass. Jackie Shroff went to court to stop the use of his nicknames. The first ever case was over unauthorised dolls of singer Darla Mendy that sang his hit songs. Interestingly enough, the Anil Kapoor case was particularly groundbreaking. In September 2023, the Delhi High Court didn't just protect his face or his name, it specifically protected his signature catchphrase, Jackass, and even his unique way of saying it. The judge literally noted that fame can come with its own disadvantages and that this was about protecting his entire persona from being exploited by AI. This set a huge precedent. But now, with AI generating fake and obscene content, the stakes are higher than ever. This is where the situation takes a more complex turn. Even when stars win in court, the platforms are simply ordered to remove the content. One lawyer asks the critical question that reveals the system's biggest flaw. The damage to the celebrity in terms of money or reputation has already been done. Who's going to compensate them for what they have lost? In reality, even these court orders are like playing a game of jurisdictional whack-a-mole. An Indian court can order a takedown, but what happens when the deepfake was created in one country, hosted on a server in another, and shared from a third? National laws become almost powerless without some kind of global agreement on how to handle AI-generated content. The answer is nobody. While lawyers debate whether a new law would even help, with one expert stating that laws will always be one step behind technology, the reality on the ground is stark, but a major legal crackdown could have unintended consequences. And here's where it gets interesting. For generations, small businesses and fans in India have used celebrity images as a form of homage or on small-scale merchandise. It's a huge part of the country's vibrant fan culture. The question lawyers are now asking is how to protect stars from malicious deepfakes without accidentally crushing this entire creative ecosystem. For India's biggest stars, a legal victory can stop the bleeding, but it does nothing to recover what was already taken. We were just talking about the legal battles surrounding AI. Now, let's look at the hardware that's powering this revolution and the economic shockwaves it's creating. A tech giant just saw one part of its business more than triple, while another core division actually fell by over 20%. This is the story of Micron, and it reveals the brutal, transformative power of the AI boom. A while back, we analysed how SK Hynix seized an early lead in high bandwidth memory by pushing toward HBM4 for NVIDIA's next generation. Keep that in mind, because Micron's latest numbers show how fast the rest of the field is moving to close that gap. The company's largest unit, which sells high-tech memory for cloud providers, saw its sales absolutely skyrocket, hitting $4 billion. That's more than a tripling of revenue in just 1 year. But here's a twist in the numbers. At the exact same time, Micron's core data center business saw its sales decline by 22%. So what's driving this seismic shift? It's not just a quirk in the numbers, it's a massive capital shift happening across the entire tech industry. Simply put, companies are reallocating their budgets. The enormous cost of building out new AI infrastructure is so high that it's cannibalizing spending on conventional enterprise IT. Think about it. A recent report from Boston Consulting Group found that while AI and cloud services are seeing the largest spending increases, established areas like traditional server infrastructure are projected to see the biggest cuts. It's a zero-sum game for IT budgets. And right now, AI is winning. It all comes down to artificial intelligence. High-end AI chips, like the ones made by NVIDIA, are incredibly hungry for a special component called high bandwidth memory. For long-time listeners, a quick refresher. We've talked about how HBM is the vertically stacked, ultra-dense memory that feeds GPUs at extreme speed, and why it's become the critical constraint on AI build-outs. Now, get this. While GPUs get all the headlines, this high bandwidth memory, or HBM, might be the true bottleneck limiting the pace of the AI boom. Why? Because it is incredibly difficult to make. Instead of flat 2D memory chips, HBM is a 3D stacked marvel. Imagine a skyscraper of individual memory dies, all stacked on top of each other and connected by thousands of microscopic vertical tunnels called through silicon vias. This allows for a massive, super fast data highway directly into the AI processor. But building these memory skyscrapers requires insane precision, and any tiny defect can ruin the entire stack, making it a major challenge to produce at scale. And as we discussed a while back, the next wave, HBM4 with hybrid bonding for copper-to-copper links, is tightening the race even further. Micron makes that memory, and the demand is so explosive, it's completely reshaping the company from the inside out. Previously, we noted SK Hynix's head start, including deep collaboration with NVIDIA and TSMC and positioning for NVIDIA's Rubin architecture. Today's Micron surge is the counterpoint. The market isn't winner take all, but the bar to compete at the bleeding edge keeps rising. The big picture numbers are staggering. Overall company revenue is up 46% year over year. Net income didn't just grow, it exploded, jumping from $887 million to $3.2 billion. It's a tidal wave of cash that has caused Micron stock to nearly double this year. And remember our earlier discussion of the Jevons paradox in AI hardware. Even as next-gen memory becomes more efficient, total compute demand tends to accelerate, reinforcing why these HBM ramps matter so much. Micron's CEO, Sanjay Mehrotra, highlighted their strategic advantage, stating, "As the only US-based memory manufacturer, Micron is uniquely positioned to capitalize on the AI opportunity ahead. We previously highlighted why this positioning matters. Governments worry about concentration risk if one country dominates advanced AI memory. That's why, as we mentioned before, the US is using the CHIPS and Science Act to back domestic HBM capacity. Micron has been awarded over $6 billion to build massive new memory fabrication plants in Idaho and New York. This government backing is a powerful strategic advantage that its South Korean rivals, Samsung and SK Hynix, simply do not have in the US. This isn't just about a good quarter, it's a story of a massive, calculated pivot. The explosive growth in one area is so powerful, it is completely overshadowing other parts of the business. Micron is betting its future on powering the AI revolution, and the results show that this bet is fundamentally remaking the entire company. But it's important to understand this bet isn't a guaranteed slam dunk. Micron is in a fierce three-way battle for HBM market share. While it has made huge strides, its rival SK Hynix currently holds the top spot and, as we covered a while back, is pushing HBM4 via hybrid bonding and tight alignment with NVIDIA's roadmap. And we have to remember, the memory market is famous for its brutal boom and bust cycles. The big question experts are debating is whether this AI-driven demand is a permanent, sustainable shift, or if the industry is simply at the peak of another historic cycle, risking a massive price crash once this initial AI build-out is complete. The answer will hinge on how quickly the ecosystem transitions to those next-gen HBM platforms and whether efficiency gains fuel yet another wave of even larger AI systems.
That's it for today on Voyage Daily Tech. Follow, share, and stay tuned for daily updates coming your way tomorrow.